All right, here we go. All right, y'all. I apologize for that. I'm not sure what's happening with my streaming computer. Won't let us be great today. But we are back. Thanks for sticking with us. So we were talking about the studio, the early days of the studio, and what it looked like.
Um, it was actually I had the name for it was the Ruin Studio. So it was actually a complete ruin in the garden back from like because we live on a farm right now,
Right.
and so my dad did it up. I don't know what his intentions were when he did it up, but I think I
Hmm.
took over it and turned it into a studio. And we had it was PC Cubase SX3. I think
Hmm.
it. I don't even know what Cubase is on now, to be honest. But
Right.
yeah, it's a Yamaha 01X was the console. It's like a tiny little thing, and then I had some outboard gear, like I think it was an i88X and a few like Octane preamps and stuff that would go to and then a snake from that for a patch bay to the live room.
Nice.
And yeah, I learned so much just messing around with it, making many mistakes.
Yeah. Don't you find that that's one of the best ways to learn? Though I find for me is like, you know, if you, I can learn one or two ways. You can show me, but it's gonna take me longer to get it than if I sit down and sort of figure it out and make some mistakes, right? Did I lose you again? Oh boy. I think we lost Danny again, guys. I don't know what's happening today. Huh. Not sure what's happening. All right, guys. I think what we're gonna have to do for those watching, we're gonna have to reschedule today. Get to the bottom of what's happening with our. Oh, here's Danny is back. Was that you this time or me? Oh, it's weird. Huh. Very interesting. Pardon? Yeah, your video was frozen.
Carry on chatting, I guess. So there we go.
Yeah, we'll carry on and this time my Wirecast didn't quit, so not quite sure what's happening, y'all. But we're
Yeah.
gonna keep going, I guess, and we'll see where we get to. We get to where we get to, and if anything, I do promise though, if Danny is able to, if this does happen again, we'll reschedule and hit it again another day for you guys. Maybe tape it or something and air it because we have a few people watching and who are sticking with us, which is a good sign.
Nice.
So, yeah, so we were talking about like learning, and I guess we can push that question into even how much you've learned over the years with touring and going from a 125 cap venue, 100 to 200 cap venue into now playing bigger shows. There had to be a lot of learning that was involved in that and messing stuff up. I for one, like, people say to me, oh, you're so much better than me, or you're so good at this, and I really tell them all the time is that I've just messed it up more times. It's really just mileage, right? So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that learning curve and what that was like. That going from, and what are the things that were important for you in your process of now stepping into the big leagues, quote unquote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess the first thing that comes to mind is that first show I did. So the first tour show I did anyway, 10,000 people, festival, no sound check, obviously, just throw and go. I never went to stage. I went straight to the console during changeover and like tried to get it was a festival patch, tried to get things ready. And in hindsight, I should have gone to stage, placed my microphones. Like I set my drum kit was on a rolling riser, but the cab, the mic ended up on a dummy cab. So I remember being the first song, being like, I have no guitar, and there was no text at the time. It was just me and the band, and I was having to like use it. It was in Germany, so try and
Hmm.
translate to the house guy, then to tell the other guy to change the microphone, and then being that on the first song of my first show, I was like, yeah, I am never not going to stage again.
Right.
Ever since then, every single changeover, no matter what it is, I will always go to stage and make sure that simple,
Hmm.
everything's plugged in. I guess like it should have been. Um, and then from that same tour, I guess I learned so much because we after that festival we jumped on a tour on 2 of 4. So I think it was Every Time I Die was headlining. Cancer Bats, which is how I met Cancer Bats and started working for them, and then Set Your Goals, and then I can't remember who was opening. Make Do Amend, I think. I don't know if
Hmm.
we're going. No sound check. We were throw and go every day. So I went to stage. It was 50-minute changeover, different console every day.
Oh wow.
Learn probably more than I'd ever learned at university during a
Hmm.
6 tour.
Hmm.
Thrown in a different guy was mixing before me every day because they opened it didn't have anyone. So it was like if it was analog, having to see what they did, following their like the patch of the plugins and all that, and consoles I've never even been on.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely being thrown into the deep end
Right.
a lot. And then obviously through the years, I actually took on different roles. So I was just doing sound then, and then when I joined Silverstein, I started TMing,
Right.
which I'd never really done before. But I was like, oh, how hard can it be? It's just common sense with a bit of, I guess, knowing how to do numbers and keep track of numbers and stuff thrown
Right.
into.
Yeah. Wirecast is doing this again.
I mean, that was quicker than last time. We're back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I joined Silverstein doing stuff with them, I'd never actually tour managed before. So it was like I beforehand asked a bunch of friends that I've toured with and asked for like advice that way, and then again thrown in the deep end.
Hmm.
I assumed they liked it because I worked for them for 6 years, 5 or 6 years. So
Right.
at that point, yeah, and then the more you do, the more I learn. Absolutely, like in the
Right.
audio,
Right. Right.
then wanting to take a console out, and
Hmm.
then learning the benefits of that, and then
There's something I wanna touch on because I find it really intriguing, and I ask a lot of other front of house guys, sort of the same question. But talk to me a little bit about your process because it's very evident to me, just in what you were talking about just now, that there has to be a very defined process in order to have the success that you've had and the longevity that you've had in your career thus far. So talk to me a little bit about what that process looks like from the moment you walk into a venue, whether it's a festival or a tour show, or and walk me through what that day looks like for you.
I mean, as in just like your general day to day. So if I was to walk into a venue or a festival, I would introduce myself, obviously, and then that first impression I feel goes a long way. If you're a
Hmm.
nice guy and you say hi to someone, they're going to help you down the line. So again, I
Absolutely.
guess going back to that first show, I remember going and introducing myself way early in the day to all the house guys, and I explained to them, I was like, "Hey, this is my first show, and I feel like they've helped me so much that day, and I stick to that. Every time I walk into a venue, I want to leave that venue with them looking." We're back again.
Quick. Yeah.
Yeah, quick ones are fine. I want to leave that venue with those people working that looking forward to me coming back, I guess. So like
Hmm.
that isn't a good name for the band too, but obviously I butted heads with a few people too along the way, but that's bound to happen.
Right.
Like
Right. And what's your audio process like, from the standpoint of a front of house guy? Like, what's that first thing that you check for or look at or who's the first person you check in with? Because when you're doing dual roles, it's really Jekyll and Hyde, if you will, because
Yeah,
you know you got the tour management side, but you still have the responsibility of mixing the show, right? So from the audio standpoint, what's that crucial thing that needs to happen? You obviously have a lot of experience doing festivals and throw and go. You know, not everybody has that. Some of us are fortunate enough to be able to travel with gear or get sound checks and stuff like that. For me, a lot of my career at the beginning was very few throw and goes when I started touring with Shaggy. Had a lot of sound checks, thankfully,
nice.
one or two festivals, but still was using a file, so it
Yeah,
wasn't just like a straight up like push faders up and you know. So what's that like? What is important in that process when you're walking into something that you a different console from last night?
yeah, for sure. So I guess if it's a festival, the first person I properly want to talk to is the patch guy.
Hmm.
I want to find and I want to introduce to the whole team. But the patch guy to me is very important because
Hmm.
yeah, like what this is my patch. Where is it going to show up? And especially if like Silverstein, we had a M32 for in ears, so that was very important for me to be able to patch the festival patch into my split for
Hmm.
get to their ears with a 50-minute changeover and no monitor guy. It's pretty. We're back again.
Yeah. I
But
I can only attribute this to some weird stuff happening on the Wirecast server. Maybe
yeah,
a lot of people are live today, so
that makes sense. Like an
yeah.
overload.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, 50-minute changeover with no monitor guy. I guess the main thing is that their monitor in ears are fine because at front of house with a different console, if I don't have a file, obviously if there's a digital console, I will throw my file in every single time and
Hmm.
just patch whatever the festival patch is in. But at that
Right.
instance, I don't care really where the channel comes as long as I can get it because
Right.
I manipulate it to whatever I want it to be reasonably quickly. But for
Right.
the is I can't be on stage and I can't change. So my main thing, I guess, is in that instance, patch guy, please make sure my patch is right. And
Right.
then obviously, as we were talking most recently when I've been Beartooth, I have traveled with the console every time.
Hmm.
So I'm completely self-contained. So I really don't need to. My main person, then point of contact when I get there is a stage manager. Where can I
Hmm.
go?
Hmm.
Where can I set up Monitor World? How can I get my console to front of house?
Right. Right.
But
What's the any horror stories of like? I mean, other than the one of the guitar, the guitar mic being on a dummy cab, but any horror stories of like patches not just going completely wrong?
definitely had. I want to say we were in Peru doing a show. It was so hot in the venue. It was, I don't even want to guess what it was. Over 40, I want to say.
Mm.
And the patch guy, no idea. Again, we arrived super late because flew from Colombia, I think, that day.
Right.
And we just could not figure out anything. Like every and we're back.
Yeah.
And the patch was just nothing. Like guitar was coming up in a vocal, kick drum was coming up in guitar. And I remember having to my talk back was the only thing from front of house that was going to their ears, and having to say to like the guitar player because we had no text, go to the stage box and just swap channel where it says 2 and 14 or something. Just literally
Right.
swap them around.
Right. Right.
It might make a pop in your ear. I'll mute front of house. It will be a lot better. So I remember that being an absolute nightmare.
Man, that's crazy.
There's
We've
a few other,
we've had some interesting ones with like language barriers because we I think it was probably Colombia that we were in with a pair of SD8s that just weren't working properly. It could have been the heat, could have been the dust, but yeah, man, we had a like our. I ended up getting through the show sort of unscathed, but our front of house guy had real problems with just like the Maddie stuff dropping, losing the stage box like in the middle of a song. just you know how it is, man. Sometimes you get some gear that's just like super beat up, and the minute you take a look at it, you go, oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. You know how your day is going to be just by looking at
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This
You
one's gonna
introduce
be
yourself to
tough.
one of the house guys or whatever. You go, yeah, this is how my day is going to go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
But
it's like, you just grab a glass of rum or something and
oh,
and power through.
yeah,
Um, so in those early days, talk to me about like that transition from, not touring with gear to touring with gear. What went into your decision of like what console you wanted to travel with? Give us a little bit of insight for some people who are on the road there, but oh, he's Danny's gone again.
yeah,
There we go. So some people are like hoping to get there, but one day when they do get there, like, what goes into that, or what went into that decision for you?
yeah, absolutely. I guess two different scenarios. Like one, we were on a co-headline tour with I was with Silverstein, and it was Tonight Alive. I feel like we were
Hmm.
with, and I've never, being a TM, never had time to necessarily take my own console out, just because I would have to set it up myself. We would take our own like stage boxes and everything, and never have time to do that.
Hmm.
So shared with the co-headline band console, and I just let him choose what the console was. I was
Right.
like, I'm too busy to do that. It was a Pro 2, which is fine. Obviously, if it was something I wasn't happy with, I
Right.
would have. But when it came to me actually choosing, I chose the Allen and Heath D Live. I've been on it, to be honest, not that many times, but just loved it. The easy flow of it, the
Hmm.
setup of it, and they're actually based in Cornwall, where I am right now.
Right.
So I made like a little connection to home, I guess. But they sounded great. They were easy to work. They had all this built-in deep processing. It's called. So they
Hmm.
had X process like compressors on it and different. You can put a multi-band on every channel. Like
Hmm.
before that, I was all about waves. Like I loved using waves, like profile. Every time I got to a show that had a profile, I was like, yes, I get to put my waves in.
Right.
And then they crashed on me a few times.
Hmm.
Yeah, and on my left, right. I had a C6 on my, and I was like, yeah, I've just lost my. And I've been to shows too, like with I think the last tour, someone had a Pro X and they had waves running, and the wave server just crashed, and the whole PA went. That was kind of good timing. The whole PA went off just as
Right.
the cut out.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of put me off that, and then getting to the Allen and Heath with it all built in. So it all
Hmm.
had these different DBX compressors and stuff built in. And you can do waves too. I actually do have waves on my thing just for recording and virtual soundcheck.
Hmm.
Virtual soundcheck is my new best friend. Love it.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, different things to get what desk I wanted to get. I did a support tour on one. We Beartooth supported Architects
Hmm.
in an arena tour around UK and Europe, and they were on one, and it sounded great every night. I had a little 1500 that they would let the supports use, and yeah, already had a file, I guess, from that. So I just
Nice.
yeah, if you stitch the console, I'm on what show 300, if not more, on the same
Right.
file. So it's just
Right.
it gets better and better.
Right.
We also have one of monitors, so we
Hmm.
don't have a monitor guy. So I set them both up, know how to use it all. I just kind of so
Amazing.
yeah,
All right. Well, since we keep having problems, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but I do want to get a few things in
yeah,
before we get going, and then we'll look at doing a part three, because this has now become a two-part one in one day. But what's some are like your favorite microphones? Or let's start with, let's say, your drum kit. What's your drum kit mic kit look like?
oh, I guess it depends what music I'm doing, but obviously I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing like metalcore, heavier music. So I'm 91 for my in, 91A, and I've actually been using the Telefunken M80 for my out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just still gives me that punch. Where I get two punch microphones basically. Before that, I was using the 52. And we're back.
It cuts like right at the perfect time. Like you get the full word out. You said 52 and then it went,
It knows.
yeah.
It's listening.
Yeah.
My snare, I use the ATM 650
Hmm.
on the top, and then I've actually just always stuck to the 904 Sennheiser on the bottom,
Hmm.
and then the condenser Shure mics I have on my toms right now.
Hmm.
I honestly can't remember the name of them straight off the top of my head.
Hmm.
Used to have 604s and 904s on toms too. Still don't mind them, but just
Right.
actually had got a deal through Shure and got
Oh,
these.
nice.
So I like just yeah, and then
Yeah.
we had. I used to do JDX radials on my guitar,
Hmm.
and love them. Absolutely love them. They were so clean. I never had any issues with guitar, like going to the dummy cab, as we said.
Hmm.
And I found them a lot less harsh than the other red boxes. You get the Palmers and stuff, but those radials were just great.
Right.
Everyone started turning to Kemper,
Hmm.
so I never needed them anyway. I just take a DI from the back. I used to put a 906 on the cab
Hmm.
and both, but obviously you get those phasing issues,
Right.
having to get like delays and stuff. And I spent more time messing with that and ended up always taking the mic out anyway. So I
Right.
just keep the Kemper. What I actually do is I duplicate the channel instead of taking a left right sometimes if there's not
Right.
some Kempers aren't, and then I can EQ them differently so it does sound like different guitars, and then
Right.
pan them obviously make it. Um, Vocals, I really like the 935s, the
Hmm.
Sennheiser. They're just yeah. What I've started in the last year is those Optigates on vocals. Have you ever used
Yep.
that? Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
they're a little annoying to dial in.
Right. There you go.
uh,
The cuts.
a little annoying to dial in is the distance of they when they go to it, just to get it right, and also certain lights set it off. So
Right. I've
the,
used them. I've used Optigates a lot on talkbacks.
yeah,
They're great for like talkback mics.
yeah,
But then when we got we were using Optigates a lot, and then we got a radial deal, and so we just use Hotshot DM1s now, and guys just step on
oh,
the
yeah,
foot switch
yeah,
to
they're great.
talkback. So um, all right, man. Listen, I appreciate your time so much. We'll touch base definitely and schedule a part three. This is really interesting. It's going really well. I do want to dig into a bit more of like tour managing and that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and we definitely want to talk a little bit more about front of house and doing audio and all the good things that come with what we get to do and reminisce now that we're not doing it.
yeah,
Right. So um but I need to get to the bottom of what's happening with
yeah,
my
that's
stream
great.
rig
So, yeah,
and make sure that this thing is working properly for the next time we do this. But thank you so much
cool.
for joining. For everybody who's stuck with us through the technical difficulties that we've been having today, thank you for logging in. Stay tuned. And I'll send out an email to everybody, to all the subscribers when we kind of get something scheduled and make it happen. So thanks again, guys, for watching this abbreviated version of Learn from the Pros, and stay tuned for when we have some more guests. All right. Thank you, guys. Peace out. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, thank you.